So Amanda Seyfried, who
Yes.
again is doing the awards circuit rounds at the moment for her performance in The Testament of Anne Lee. So she's obviously she's a double nominee at the Golden Globes. Lost both, happens to a lot of people. She took it well. She took
it like a champ, yeah.
That's the most important thing. And she's in the mix for potentially winning, potentially being in the Oscars race this year. Although with how the ballots are going, with how like the different campaigns are going and who's won, like she's one of the people who's like on the edge of like she might get in, she might not.
Yeah.
And Oscar voting is still open. So I also thought this was an interesting tack to take for someone who is essentially in the midst of an Oscar campaign to do an interview like this when people are voting. And one thing we kind of know about the Academy is they don't like people being flippant about the Oscars. To them, the Oscars are the most important thing in the world.
Yeah.
And they love people who kind of show that they really want an Oscar and have a narrative, which she's kind of dispelled with this interview that she's done with The New Yorker, where she was talking about being in the Oscar race and what the reality of that is. So in this interview, they were asking her if she wanted to win an Oscar and if that was like her big goal. And it's interesting because she has been nominated once before in 2021 for her work in the movie Mank. Do you remember Mank?
Refresh me.
No, I can't.
I don't
remember anything about it.
What
because
was Mank?
No. But this proves the point that she says right here, which is a lot of the time the Oscar movies are the movies that no one remembers afterwards. Because I remember saying the word Mank about 50,000 times during 2021 of that Oscar race because it was so in the mix. Haven't thought about it since. I think I definitely have seen it, but I don't know if I could get into the intricacies of the plot. Which is kind of what she's getting
her point
at here.
is,
When they're asking her if an Oscar win and nomination is kind of the pinnacle, and she very honestly says it's not. So what she said was that she's gotten this far without an Academy Award, so why would I need one now? The woman's 40. She's got about 30 years of her career left to go, 30, 40 years left of her career to go.
Yeah.
So interesting. She's like, I've gotten this far. I don't need it.
Yeah.
Has been acting since she was a child, so fair enough. And then she went on to say, and I think this is all a really fair call, she wanted to say, do you remember who won in the past 10 years? It's not the win that's important, it's the nomination. Which, again, I think is very interesting. And then she said, the nomination does thrust you forward. That's a fact. Now, do I need one in a week or two or whenever? No, of course not. I don't. Would it be great? Of course it would. For every reason, but it isn't necessary. Longevity in an actor's career is designed. Longevity is about deliberate choices to make art among the big commercial things that are fun to play, which I also thought was interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
One of those things that like is kind of an accepted thing that a lot of actors do, one for me, one for you. So like the one for me is like their artistic smaller movie and the one for you is for the studio that makes the money.
I mean, very on display at the end of the year for her of like doing press for The Housemaid and then doing press for The Testament of Anne Lee. Very different projects.
Yeah, 100%. And she was even saying that even if she misses out on an Oscar nomination this year, she feels she's already proven herself. And she said she's making strides toward getting people to trust me to do hard things, which I thought was interesting. She also talked about the fact that, and again, I love this kind of sense of honesty when she's sort of getting into box office, because a lot of actors don't want to discuss that, which I understand. A lot of them are like, that the business side of it is not for me. Like they're like, I get hired for a job, I come to the job, I make art, I make a project. I'm not getting into the nitty gritty of box office. But Amanda Seyfried said in this that I'm also sitting pretty right now because The Housemaid made money, which is her latest movie. She said that's not always the case. Sometimes you're in Mamma Mia. Sometimes you do something like Ted 2 or A Million Ways to Die in the West, which were both supposed to be big. Oh, really? We'll circle back to that. She said both of these movies were supposed to do big box office and both underperformed. Crazy about Ted 2.
I actually thought Ted 2 must have done. I just assumed it did well. I was like, what other reason could there be for Ted 2?
Well, the first movie did really well.
Yeah, so I just assumed the second did.
Maybe we're just like the joke's over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No more talking
with
bear.
the talking bear. Well, they also did a spin-off series with the kid from Parenthood.
Which I will be honest, I have not watched because I don't care.
Neither have I. I don't need to see the kid.
Like, shout out to them, but yes, the kid from Parenthood.
Well, yeah, they were trying to like start a franchise around Ted. And I'm sure, again, like the first movie made so much money, you make a sequel. Obviously, she replaced Mila Kunis.
Yeah.
But you're kind of being like, yeah, I'll make this just for box office, and then it underperforms. And then A Million Ways to Die in the West, which What?
I think
Circling
that's
back
a
to
great
that.
movie.
You think that's a great movie?
So it's ridiculous and,
Yeah.
and absurd and awful, but like
Yeah.
it just, I think when it came out, it reminded me of those like Naked Gun-esque movies,
Yeah.
which I know they've obviously recently rebooted, but those were things that like I watched with my mum growing up,
Sure.
like silly slapsticky things or like sarcastic bits, and like I thought Charlize Theron was really fun in that movie. Like
she is fun in that movie.
Oscar winner Charlize Theron. Oscar, see, I brought her back around.
Yeah.
Oscar winner Charlize Theron playing like a sassy old timey woman. That's good fun.
That is good. That is good fun.
I had good fun, I'll be honest.
You bought the one ticket for that movie.
Yeah, that was me.
It's interesting what she's saying on a number of kind of different levels. One is, as I said, sort of having this conversation in the midst whoever's running her Oscar campaign, because every studio would have someone. I know she's in sort of a smaller movie this time around, but still it's probably like, oh my God, don't say that right now. But also I love the honesty of kind of looking at it and just saying like it's not the thing, like, because I think she knows that like the longevity in her career, people are thinking of things like Mean Girls and Mamma Mia and now The Housemaid, these like memorable roles that she's been in, and instead of like looking at like an actress who could win an Oscar and is never heard from again, which happens a lot.
Happens all the time. And there were a lot of like, because I saw the article on Twitter first, and there was so many like film bros in the comments being like, I can name all of the past actresses. And it's like, yes, so can I. But like, what does that matter? That's our job. We're people who care about this stuff. She means the general public, and she means the general audience of people out there who pay to watch movies and who consume content. That not everyone is concerned with whether or not you've won an Oscar, but everyone is concerned with whether or not they enjoyed the thing you made. And like that's what she wants to do. She wants to make content that people enjoy and that she enjoys too. Like you said, like one for Hollywood, one for her.
Yeah, exactly.
I do think she means it, or she wouldn't have said it now.
And I do know I know a lot of actors do get a bump off winning an Oscar, but it's not always the case. Melissa Leo recently said, who won a few years ago now, that it was quite bad for her career because she thinks it like kind of led to her not getting some like more dramatic roles that she wanted to get. Lupita Nyong'o thought that like her whole acting career was going to open up in a new way after her Oscar win, and then she just kept getting offered these slave roles over and over again, and she's like, that was one part I did, I can do more than that. And obviously she has done more than that since, but I do think that like a lot of people are just like, your career changes when you win an Oscar, and that's not true. Some people we never hear from again. Some people get like a bit part on TV, like they get their moment and then that's it. Yeah.
It's interesting because, like, I don't know, I look at someone, say, like Florence Pugh, who got an Oscar nom for, like, Little Women, which deserved. She should have won.
Yeah.
But, like,
she should have won.
But, like, Florence Pugh at that point in time was, like, a fan favorite. But I remember when that happened, she had maybe, like, 1 million Instagram followers or so, which is obviously huge. But she was not at the level she is now, where you go bankable Hollywood star, you put her in something, and most people should know who she is.
Yeah.
But, like, the Oscar nom was the thing that kept pushing her forward, because that was like 2019 leading into 2020, and then there were all of her other projects that started coming out, and like she's like, I didn't even audition, I'm amazing.
Yeah.
As she should. But like it does lead to further opportunities. Why wouldn't it? An Oscar nom. Whereas I guess an Oscar win could be limiting if the thing you're seen as winning for is now your like one kind of role you can play.
It's just so interesting also because it's so different to all of these stories that surround all these very famous actors of them thinking that the Oscar is the biggest pinnacle. Like this whole kind of story around how desperate Leonardo DiCaprio was to win and how he wanted it more than anything, how Matthew McConaughey chased it, how like all these how Brad Pitt chased it, all these kind of stories around that. And just like you can see Timothée Chalamet chasing it so hard. I actually worry for that boy if he wins. What will he do after that? Because that's all. What happens when you get your ultimate dream at 30? Like,
it's not going to be good.
You just circle back around and just go again. I guess.
Mean, he'll be fine. But like, I love my boy Timmy so much. But I worry.
It's such a different story. I'm sure if you interviewed them, they'd just be like, in an honest interview, be like, it means the most to me in the world, and I think it will change my life. Whereas Amanda Seyfried is like, it doesn't matter. It matters how much my movie makes the box office and whether I like my movie or not.
And she's also been around so long now, like as she said, that I guess she's like, well, I made it here without one anyway. Yeah, like I've done it without one, so I'm fine without it. Whereas obviously someone a bit younger, like Timmy, has been striving to this moment for the past decade. To him, it is everything.
Yeah.
Like whereas to her, she's like, I'm good. Like, it's fine. It would be nice. That makes sense. But also, imagine being so cool about an Oscar.
And the thing is, it's a privilege that also comes with being a star with like a long list of credits that you're not sort of like someone like a Mikey Madison last year who's like at the Oscars for the first time can't say that. It's a privilege that comes with being someone who is so secure in their place in Hollywood and also being like a beautiful white blonde woman who everyone just loves and who can, I mean, not that I've heard any scandal around Amanda Seyfried. Like she's scandal free as far as I know and people love her and she lives on a farm with a peacock and a donkey and other animals and her kids and it's all very sweet. But also, you know, being able to give an interview like this and not anyone sort of not thinking badly of her, everyone just being like, oh, that's an interesting take. It's interesting in itself.
Yeah. And very different to like what you're saying Lupita said of her experience as well. Yeah. Exactly. Like it's an obvious difference that she's coming from a place of privilege and saying this. Yes.
It's quite interesting. And just another step in this Oscars moment we're in where everyone's voting, everyone has their ballots and I'm sure a bunch of people are voting without even seeing the movies, as happens every year. But Oscar
imagine your only, I mean, I'm sure they're busy, but like imagine your only thing being I have to vote for the Oscars and then you're like, actually, I don't feel like watching these movies. Sorry.
Yeah, I wonder how they send the ballots now because they used to post them. And I remember Jennifer Lawrence saying the first year she was in the Academy, she was so excited to vote, but they sent it to like her parents' address because that was her listed address and her mum voted.
What?
Her mum was like, I voted for the Oscars. And she's like, what do you mean you voted for the Oscars? She's like, well, they sent me it and I voted it. And she's like, Mum, that's mine. You can't
vote fraud. Jennifer Lawrence's mum.
You just like go to jail for that. Probably not.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure now it's a different system.
They're like, let's do
hopefully
electronic.
It's online now. Otherwise, there's some very important envelopes making their way around the world right now.
I would appreciate if they all started outing, though, the people who don't watch things. Because you know how it was actually Little Women, wasn't it? Where they were like, we can see who came to the screenings and we
didn't send out screeners. Amy Pascal said that. We didn't send out screeners. You came to this screener or you didn't see it. And all the men who vote didn't see Little Women, which is why it wasn't nominated for the big awards.
Yeah. Keep having that conversation.
Crazy. Exactly.